and you can see the valve right here hanging through my exhaust pipe. G'day everybody. So this video I'm going to explain what happened to Lookout at Powercruise Queensland, and I am going to have a little 5-minute clip up at the end of the video of the in-car footage of when I did actually drive it on the track before I broke it. And yeah, we'll go through and see exactly what happened and why, and hope it never happens again to anyone else. So I had just removed this. So what had happened is the pin and the roller had fallen out of the rocker, which goes through the end there, and that's what they're meant to look like when they're not broken. And obviously what happens when that happens is the rocker pushes on the retainer, which pretty much pops the locks and drops the valve down. So that's how the valve dropped down, and you can see the valve right here hanging through my exhaust pipe. Very strange place for it to end up, but it somehow managed to go there. I put a bore scope in there, and the piston does have some whacking on it. So this is a bit of a pain in the ass situation to happen, because every time something like this happens, it means that the ute's going to be out of action for a couple months, because trying to get parts in to fix things in this day and age is just slow as hell. So the thing I want to show you guys about this, I'll flip that around. So these heads and rockers are off MCFRY's motor. Same thing happened on it. There was this back rocker here that fell apart on MCFRY, but I caught it before it actually got an opportunity to drop a valve. So I replaced that one rocker, and we've reused the rockers and the heads on this motor. When I replaced this rocker, as you can see, they've changed the design. They put a different pin in there with a circlip. Obviously, because they would have known about this happening, they've obviously fixed the problem. But this doesn't really help in my situation, because I bought these rockers and they've fallen apart on me. So, which kind of sucks. So really, it would have been good if Jesel, I suppose, took on some responsibility for their product, because these rockers are meant to be able to handle 900 foot-pounds of open seat pressure, and these springs have nowhere near that. So these rockers should be plenty for this engine. They were plenty for when they were on MCFRY, but still the same thing happened on that. So there's definitely a fault in these rockers, and obviously when I replaced that one and they fixed the problem, they obviously knew about it, but obviously haven't told anyone else about it. So yeah, that really sucks. So and the first thing that happens when something like this happens is everyone blames the engine builder. So it's not Brad's fault that the rocker failed, and obviously Brad's not going to want to put this motor back together with shit rockers on it again. So this time round we're going to get rid of all the rockers, and we're going to be fitting some T&D Steel rockers, which is about 5,000 Australian dollars. So that's why originally I didn't want to change these rockers, because they were meant to be plenty for the motor. I didn't want to spend the extra money, but poor man pays twice. Here I am. So I'm going to put decent rockers on this thing now that are going to be bulletproof. And yeah, it just really sucks that it had to happen. Obviously now we're going to try and do the motor in the ute. I've got a removable cross member, so I'm going to try and pull the pan off in the ute. We're going to get the piston out. Got to take the head off. The head's going to need to get repaired. Probably going to have to get another piston. We're going to have to check the lifter. Just check everything on that one cylinder, make sure nothing's damaged. But yeah, the ute's going to be out of action probably till like somewhere around Christmas time. Just getting this stuff fixed. So that's what happened at the event. So on the dyno, we spun it at 8,500 RPM. It was still making power, like it wanted to keep going. So there's no valve float here. At the event, I had the rev limiter on 7,600 RPM, so I actually turned it down and 4 laps, and this happened. So I did the valve lash before the event. On this side, there was no sign of any rockers falling apart. So just in that short period of time, this rocker's fallen apart. So that's what happened there. At the event, I had things coming loose everywhere. I noticed these big bad boys, they're like a Harley Davidson, and tend to just vibrate everything apart. So I'm going to have to go for a lot of things and put Loctite on stuff to stop things from loosening. I had like one of the water fittings down here come loose, made a bit of a mess. This whole bracket that holds the fuel shutoff and everything's come loose. The dash 16 fitting on the bottom of the fuel pump, which I fixed at the event, and mind you, it's down there on the back of the oil pump, so I had to take the headers off and everything out there. It was a mission of a job. So that was like a 2-hour job just to get to the fuel pump to do the fitting up, and in the meantime it drained out. I lost all the fuel that was in the tank because I couldn't even get to the fitting with my hands to do it up. So lots of Loctite is going to be needed to stop things from vibrating apart on this. Even on the dyno, the flex plate bolts come loose after the dyno, and I torque tightened them to spec. Obviously it wasn't good enough, so this time around I pretty much brake cleaned everything, red Loctite, and I did them up tighter than 60 foot-pounds. So just to prevent that from happening hopefully ever again. So overall my weekend was pretty crap in that regards, but I still had a fun time jumping in mates' cars and stuff. Powercruise is just the best event ever for that. So poor ute's going to be out of action. And there's MCFRY's intake manifold. I've got all the injectors and everything here. I've got 2 stages of nitrous going on it, so I'm going to get stuck into that, and the motor's pretty much done for MCFRY. It just needs this intake manifold sorted out, a little bit of welding and stuff, and I'll get that back in, do a little bit of wiring, and book it in for a dyno. Hopefully get MCFRY to Sydney Power Play, and from there that's pretty much it with the cars. Cars suck some days, they really do. They're good when they're running, and they're not. They really do suck, and they cost an arm and a leg when things go wrong. So I can understand why a lot of people quit with cars half the time, because they're just so freaking expensive, and it's just so hard to keep them running sometimes, especially at this horsepower level. Everything was kind of fine and dandy at the lower horsepower level area. Once you get up like in the 1,000+ area, it's just constant problems. It's just never ending. So I'm going to put a little 5-minute clip up of the in-car footage, the only footage I really got of the ute at the event. Show you guys how it went. You're going to see that the ute's rocking a lot, and that's from it's got a solid rear sway bar, anti-roll bar. It's got a drag race set up in the rear, so it's very stiff. It's got no front sway bar, and the front springs are too soft, so I'm going to have to fit some stiffer front springs in the ute, stiffen that up. And also the stall converter. It stalls at like 6,500 RPM at the moment, so it's way too big, so I'm going to try and buying another stator for the bolt together converter to bring it down to 5,000, so just to make it a little bit more drivable, so I don't have to rev it so hard, more for Powercruise and stuff, because it doesn't need to rev that hard. It's got so much torque, this thing. So converter, front springs, fix the engine, T&D Steel rockers, and should be good as gold. So I hope you enjoyed the little 5-minute clip that I do have, and yeah, I'll keep you guys informed on MCFRY when I get the motor back in on it. So peace out and enjoy the video.